The tiny unlockable mode you get granted access to upon completing the Road at War campaign now has the tiny community growing larger and larger each day. While multiplayer is still dominating the player base, more and more people are realizing how much value this side mode about slaughtering Nazi zombies has. This includes Treyarch, and with such a positive reception to the zombies map, the question loomed over everyone's heads. Why not make another? On March 19, 2009, Verruckt was released along with the new multiplayer maps in one DLC pack. Verruckt did exactly what Treyarch hoped it would do. It made interest in the mode grow larger and made the new community increase even more. As for my personal history of Verruckt, the first time I was able to get my hands on it was after purchasing the Resurrection Pack for Black Ops 1. And unfortunately, I have to report that this map, like its older brother, has been neglected by the community in favor of something with a little more depth to them. But are they justified in doing so? Regardless, the answer is yes because it's their opinion, but the question I'm putting forward is, does Verruckt deserve more recognition? Or was it a misstep in Treyarch's early days of making maps? Well, let's take a closer look. Before I do so, just be aware I have never played the original Road at War version of Verruckt. I'm sorry, but I don't want to pay $15 over Xbox Live to get a slightly different version of a 12-year-old map I already own. However, I did revisit this map on Black Ops 1 since that's the version I have that plays more closely to the original. The only reason you're seeing Zombie Chronicles footage is because I simply don't have a capture card that can record G60 gameplay. With that out of the way, let's talk about Verruckt. Now, one thing that anyone can tell about this map is a lot has changed since Knocked. Instead of being restricted to a tiny bunker with 3 rooms, you have access to an entire asylum oozing with uneasy atmosphere. While we're used to much bigger playing spaces now, back then this was probably a lot to take in after being cramped in a bunker for a few months. And like I just mentioned, this map is the first out of many to have personality. While I feel Knock's lack of personality and focus on pure tension makes it overall scarier, Verruckt is definitely a step forward in the right direction regarding design. In the creepy asylum, it's only half the fun in terms of presentation. Throughout the map, you can hear unsettling screams of terror and strange inaudible laughter. The creep factor this map has is amazing. Oh, and it's also worth noting that this map was the first to have a full-length vocal Easter egg song called Lullaby of a Dead Man, composed by the talented Kevin Sherwood and performed by Alina Sigmund, whose vocals could pierce the heavens. To say the least, this song is still a banger, and it's the start of Call of Duty Zombies' list of great exclusive songs which even furthers his personality. And one last thing regarding presentation, but this is the first map to have our 4 playable Marines actually react to the insane situation they're in with a variety of fun lines. Having these characters actually talk makes the experience feel much more immersive. However, while these Marines' cocky and determined attitude may conflict with the disturbing mood the atmosphere is trying to go for, it's not that big of a deal. Now, one thing I will say about this map to anyone who dares think of taking it on is that it is easily the hardest Zombies map till this day. You may be wondering how this is harder than the previous map, which only had 3 rooms and a mystery box. Well, while the Verruckt may be bigger than Knocked, it certainly isn't any less cramped. This asylum is realistically mainly comprised of tight corridors, hallways, and rooms about the size of my PayPal balance. Mixed out with the fact that you'll get super sprinters as early as round 3 in the Road at War version, it should be clear that much like Knocked, a sound strategy as well as raw skill is required to get anywhere past round 10. But this map isn't completely ruthless. We have a few innovations to go over. The first are perk machines. Verruckt introduces 4 perk upgrades from Road at War's multiplayer component: Quick Revive, Juggernog, Speed Caller, and Double Tap. These 4 perks are crucial to your survival, which makes them a perfect gameplay mechanic. Not only do they give you something to spend your points on aside from weaponry, but they help spice up the gameplay. And whatever perks you had activated before you get down are all gone, leaving you with no choice but to buy them all over again. This gives the player much more incentive to stay alive and makes downs much more punishing. Continuing on a long list of innovations, this map also introduces traps. You can press a switch in a specific location that will keep the relentless horde at bay for a short amount of time before having to recharge. The introduction of traps that gave birth to a long list of strategies, and it's a good addition that, just like perks, helps spice up the gameplay. And the satisfaction of coordinating the depth of an entire horde to a trap of a teammate is so fulfilling. And lastly, the mystery box has been tweaked a little. Instead of sitting in one location the entire match, it will change positions after a certain amount of spins. While some players view this as annoying, I personally think this was a good choice. It encourages the player to move around and switch locations instead of just hovering around the box room the entire game. So with all that said, what do I think of Verruckt? Well, it is essentially Knocked, but elevated. While the map still focuses on pure survival, the addition of perk machines, a larger playing area, traps, multiple box locations, and some personality to our playable characters makes Zombies feel like much more than an unlockable Easter egg. Because it is. Like Verruckt or not, this was the first map to take a step to being something truly memorable. The first map to take a look at its core mechanics and decide how to make this experience even more engaging. The first map to show zombies was here to stay. And like Knocked, the difficulties shouldn't be looked at as a sin, but rather something to appreciate. Verruckt is a true test of your skill, but unlike its former counterpart, it does much more to test you. It gives you way more options when it comes to your survival. And that's something that has always been undervalued about this map. While Knocked was the start of something magical, Verruckt was when Treyarch got serious.